My name's Alex, I'm from Manchester.
Hi, my name's Micheline Mason.
My name is Michael Bento. I'm here today volunteering.
I'm a pensioner, ex-Ford worker.
Hello, I'm Samuel West. I'm an actor and director.
My name's Rachel Newton. I'm involved in the People's Charter and also the Greece Solidarity campaign.
I'm Bernard. I'm currently an unemployed graduate and I'm an education activist.
My name's Caroline Lucas. I'm the MP for Brighton Pavilion and represent the Green Party.
My name's Stephen Morrison Burke and I'm the Birmingham Poet Laureate.
I'm Grace Grantham and I've just finished my first year at UCL.
My name's Will Gibson.
My name is Frances Leader and I'm a peace activist and I have been for 46 years.
I'm Hugo Braun, I'm coming from Germany.
Hi, I'm Rick B. Here on behalf of the War on Welfare petition. We are a petition, not a t-shirt company, I just want to get that clear.
The People's Assembly has really come about out of a recognition by lots of different people that there's lots of different campaigns within the community, within trade unions, but although all of those campaigns are essential, we also need to work together within one movement and to build that movement.
I'm here because things have got to change.
Yeah.
Or we go backwards.
It's a disgrace that the poor are paying for the mistakes of the rich.
I'm here today because I feel really excited about this gathering of people who are outraged at what's going on and plan together what we're going to do.
To try and challenge the politics of austerity and move the country in a new direction.
I've come down to see if we can actually seriously unite all the anti-cuts movements in the country. I've been involved in a lot of different ones in Manchester and none of them are under the same banner, and I'm hoping that's what we can start to begin to achieve today.
The reason I showed up today is because I hope that some concrete actions will come out of a united left coming together and talking about what's going on with austerity and a way to fight it.
Well, we went to the very first one in Nottingham, and I've been to the Manchester one and Brighton ones, and I think it's the main important politics of it is simply for small differences not to divide all the different groups, because at this point we absolutely have to unite and oppose, you know, the across-the-board consensus neoliberalism amongst the big parties.
I don't feel necessarily that I'm the kind of target market for this. I'm not unionised, I'm a corporate manager, but I feel the kind of direction the country's going and the accumulation of wealth upwards is something that is good for no one. And you know, the question is, how do you get your teeth into the system and reverse that trend?
I came across a group called Counterfire, and that's how I got involved with the People's Assembly. 6 months ago I was completely politically neutral. I've come to sort of be more aware about what's actually going on, and that we actually do need to do something, and that if we all get together in an assembly like this, it's possible to do things.
We are trying to build in Europe a joint front of resistance against austerity policies.
Got involved with People's Assembly because, well, I'm following Owen Jones on Twitter, and he brought it up, he pointed to this direction, and I thought that's a fantastic initiative.
And I'm at the People's Assembly today because I think austerity is a disaster and it's making everybody miserable.
They're lying.
Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? As Mark Steele's just pointed out, they keep going on about debt, 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 and then their response to that is to try and get the money back from the poor people, who are obviously the people with all the money. I mean, the rich, as Mark pointed out, haven't got two halfpennies to rub together.
Well, I think even the IMF is saying that there are alternatives to the terrible policies that our Chancellor is pursuing. Basically what he's doing, slashing employment, slashing welfare, draining demand out of the economy, and then he's surprised that the economy is not getting better.
I think that it's only just basically a lie that there is no alternative, and I think that we're, what we need to do is to make sure that we have a voice, because I think currently we don't have a voice, a strong voice in Parliament or in power who and making clear what those alternatives are.
I don't think they're interested in saving money at all. I think that largely this whole thing is an exercise in making people so desperate that they'll agree and accept anything. It's not going to save money, it's just transferring a debt.
Well, I think that there is an alternative when you consider the fact that the banks are holding billions of pounds in their vaults and not actually putting it and reinvesting in the economy and creating jobs for people that's going to get us out of this recession, this quadruple dip recession. When you consider the fact that there are billions being kept in tax havens that the government's not going after, I think there is an alternative, and that's why we're here today.
There is an alternative. There is the possibility for a better world.
Well, obviously there's an alternative, and the alternative is a redistribution of the wealth.
Privatising the NHS, for example, is something that's going to cost a lot of money rather than make savings.
Yesterday I saw a letter of my student debt and it was £25,000, and I felt that was such an enormous amount of money. It's more money than I could possibly even imagine. And the idea that students coming out under the new regime are going to be faced with £40,000 or £50,000, like US levels of debt, the whole thing just seems so deeply, deeply unfair. And if you consider the fact that this current government, most of them went to university for free, even to Oxford and Cambridge where they were paid, they were given grants to study there. It's just one of those things that represents everything that's wrong with this government.
In Germany we had a period of austerity since nearly 20 years ago. So very step-by-step policy, and that leads at least to, it's a part of the crisis and one of the reasons of the crisis, and one of the reasons why the people in southern countries are now in that situation what they are.
What's at stake is exactly what they're trying to attack and what they've been trying to attack since Thatcher, which is the welfare state. The safety net that keeps the most extreme horrors of capitalism being felt by the general mass of people.
The government goes after people they call welfare dodging cheats, who cost them, they say, £1.5 billion a year, before people who avoid tax, who cost them between £25 and £90 billion a year. I think that's mean, I think it's wrong, and I think that the things that are being destroyed in the process are the things that make life civilised and worth living.
It's the disabled. It's the way that I'm not disabled in any way, as you can see, but a lot of my friends are, and the way that their benefits have been cut, they're so impoverished. I can't get in touch with any of them anymore because they can't afford their phones, they can't afford their broadband. This is ridiculous. People that are agoraphobic, for example, a particular friend I've got in mind, she can't go out of her house, but they say she should be getting a job. The poor woman is terrified.
Man, the arts is so important, you know, it gives people hope, a bit of inspiration as well, it's creativity, it's for the soul. I always say the arts is for the soul, it's people's expression, you can't take that away, you know, it's terrible, everything's too regimented nowadays. You need the arts, you need the creativity, you need passion, love, peace, all the things that are cliche. We need to instill those and keep those things here with us.
Horrible.
Dismal, but to be honest, it's not too great at this moment in time, so we can only imagine.
I think it would be a very divided nation. It would look like the worst parts of the United States, where you have people literally living in the forest and, you know, plastic sheeting, living off food banks, while the wealthy get wealthier.
Well, I hope that won't happen because I'm a grandfather, and every parent wants their children to have a better life than they had, and it's not going to happen unless we fight them. Well, I hope that won't happen because I'm a grandfather, and every parent wants their children to have a better life than they had, and it's not going to happen unless we fight them.
I think it'll look like the worst parts of Manchester and London. That's what I think.
It's certainly going to have a massive impact on our place in the world. At the moment we've got this world-class education system, and the government's doesn't really care about it. All they seem to care about is the arms industry or the finance sector, and education is seen as this kind of extra. Whereas actually, if you look at other places in the world, like India and China, it's absolutely fundamental to being a progressive modern economy, really. And I think it's absolutely vital that the government invests huge amounts of money in the higher education system, and I believe that education should be free. And to achieve that goal, we've got to really, we've got to fight for it.
I think what you're going to see is the increase in human misery. You already see it with the implementation of the bedroom tax, hitting the most vulnerable people in our society, the disabled, at first, and it's going to spread even more to broader aspects of society where people are being evicted on the street.
Sort of taking away things that we've taken for granted as part of a civilised country for many years. I think what you're looking at is the sort of possible future is one that looks very much like Greece is at the moment, where you have the complete destruction of key aspects of civilised life, access to healthcare, education. Those things are falling apart in Greece, and I think through the twin policies of austerity and privatisation, and I think that if we want to have a look at our future, then we should look to Greece and see what's happening there.
The things that are under threat: hospitals, cheap education, sure start centres, libraries, fire stations, cheap and easy access to the arts, disabled benefits, single parent benefits, housing benefits, jobs ultimately, are things which make life civilised and which make British society cohesive.
I think it will look very bleak indeed, and I don't think it will be by accident. I think we need to say very clearly that what's an economic crisis for the vast majority of us is actually a wonderful opportunity for this government. They want to be able to roll back the welfare state. They would be very happy to cut spending permanently.
Stratified. I mean, inequality of wealth and growing inequality of wealth is no guarantee of change. I mean, there's lots of, horribly unequal societies that the power at the top is sufficient to keep that under control.
It doesn't bear thinking about, because people are being reduced to, are they economically viable to the government? And if you're not considered economically viable, they don't want to know about it. If we don't stop it, sooner or later we are going to end up with no state services, nothing.
Along the lines of the coalition of resistance, basically, where you have groups from across the left working together for concrete aims. And the main thing you need is a list of demands, and I think we need direct action, really. For me, I think direct action is the most important way of achieving meaningful political change. And you see that in Brazil, where they've recently won massive concessions on public transport, which in London is a topical issue. I think we need action on housing. I think we need action on the economy, and I think we need action on jobs.
The environmental crisis and the economic crisis are linked, and together you've got to be able to address the fact that, for example, some of the most jobs-rich areas of the economy are precisely in the green economy, and to that extent tackling climate change, investing in the green economy isn't a distraction from tackling austerity, it's actually the way out of austerity.
And actually start producing the alternative policies that people are crying out for, and then challenging the existing parties to do something about them, or say, ultimately, are we going to have to start a party at this rate? I don't know. But
I think the situation we've got at the moment is that people are feeling very disenfranchised. So what I want to see is a united movement that can give voice to what I think is the majority opinion, which is that austerity is hurting the majority of people and isn't working. And I think that a movement that can give voice to that would be incredibly powerful.
We are trying to start a new movement, and in connection with the Europeans, we were together with the European movements in Athens to build an Alta Summit, and we would be very greatly satisfied if to have the British movement with us.
I suppose the strongest thing is belief in an alternative. I think we're talking on a day when David Miliband has said that the Labour Party will not reverse cuts that the Conservatives have made. I think that's wrong. I think he should change his mind, and I don't think he would lose votes if he did. But more importantly, we have to resist fundamentally the idea that the people who are suffering most in this war, the poor and the disadvantaged, are the people who caused it.
It's not the people here that need to make the difference, it's the people here need to go and talk to the people outside of here and bring them with us.
I'm very deeply impressed how this event here in Britain shows me that there is a potential in the people of your country which could lead at least to some success.
The education systems for universities has been this like guinea pig for austerity measures and privatisations that they want to that they're taking to all the other parts of the public sector now. So I mean, I think it's really terrifying. But what students did was we fought and we won quite considerable concessions really, because the government wanted to privatise the whole university system, and it was politically impossible after the student revolt that happened in 2010 for them to do that. So I'm really proud to have been a part of that movement, and I'm pleased that occupations at Sussex and now Warwick have shown that the fight's not over.
What I take real energy from is the fact that there are so many people. The people here in this building today just represent a tiny minority of people that are watching what's happening here, feeling part of it. There really is momentum, and I think that the more that we can demonstrate that not only are we right, but we've got all of the economic arguments on our side as well, then I think that there's a real chance that we can capture the public's imagination and really demonstrate that alternatives are possible, are necessary, and that they're underway here and now today.
You can get so stuck in a culture in its ways really, and one thing about British culture is people are just the defeatism. Is that a word? Yeah. I'm really inspired by Counterfire myself. It's just really creative, and the fact that it's actually quite a small organisation, it just lends it that much more individuality.
A lot of times when we're fighting for things that are human rights, that really are human rights, like education, like free healthcare, in the United States we look towards examples like the NHS for our inspiration, and if you take that away, that hinders those movements across in the United States and across the world. So that's why part of the reason why I'm fighting here today, and I hope that a lot of people see that and join that fight.
I feel like I've got a few friends here as well, accomplices, so I'm looking forward to where this takes us, certainly.
I think, okay, I can sit here and moan, or I can write a letter to somebody I really want to work with and say, I really want to work with you. And if I write that letter, I always feel less depressed. It's not always easy to do it, but if Billy Bragg's right and the only real antidote to cynicism is activism, then I would say probably the most important thing I need to take out of today is don't moan, do something.
And it would just be like wildfire.